So,
Man,
which is,
how'd you get into bourbon with your son, man?
well, I mean, the back to, I guess, bourbon and my son, very interestingly enough, he's not a bourbon fan. He doesn't enjoy
What?
bourbon, right? No, he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it. He's okay, tasty, appreciate, he'll appreciate it, but there's a big difference between, when we started this and he was 23, 23, 24 years old. He was 24 and I was 54. And now here we are 4 years later, because we've been doing it since 2020. He's
Yeah,
gotten an appreciation of it, but he's never, at 20 something years old, it's hard unless you're truly brought up with it to acquire that taste. It
yeah,
takes some time. And so, moreover than anything, that the way we got started is I made a bourbon drink, I made a Manhattan, and he videoed it. And that first video he put on his TikTok. That was the first time he downloaded the app. That was the first video. That video went viral, got over 9 million views. And
wow.
so all of a sudden our page of Johnny Drinks was born. It was that simple. It was that simple, I guess, from the perspective. It was like a scratch off lottery ticket. All of a sudden, we won something.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's it.
it
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. Like from that perspective, that's pretty awesome to hear and know. That's pretty cool. Like it turned into a legit business, a job. One
yeah,
video,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, one video. Listen, nothing comes easy. Nothing
right?
is in life is handed to you, but opportunity, and the opportunity was handed to us, and that opportunity then became something that my son, to his credit, has now built out to be a business. And it's fun, and we do a lot of things on TikTok that's organic. Most of the stuff we do is organic, and does not have a real script. But now you have to be consistent in what you ultimately deliver to the people who are expecting certain things. So that part of it is thought out, right?
Yeah,
If yeah, so if I don't tap a bottle with my ring, people are like, well, why didn't you hit the bottle? So okay, we got to make sure every once and again that sometimes, out of habit I do it and I do it too much, and people are like, well, that's I don't want to, you got to stop, you got to slow it down, like whatever. You never make everybody, you're not going to make everybody happy.
yeah.
So, but anyway, with that being said, it's like I said, it's a good thing we got going, and we're enjoying it. But it's work. Don't let anybody think otherwise.
No, it's a lot of work. I can only imagine at the level that you guys do it at. Like it takes a lot of time, effort, and
Yeah,
thoughtfulness and hard work. I want to ask you
yeah,
about y'all drinks reviews. When you
yeah,
do them now, do you do them on your own recognizance and dime, or do like you all grab specific ones, like through
yeah,
sponsorships maybe? How does that work?
yeah. There's no sponsorships there. Um, that being said, we have been put in a position certain times to with brands to sponsor, but I won't. I have a few simple rules. First of all, answer your question. That is authentic. That is organic. He goes in, he buys the seltzers, whichever ones are new, or up and coming, or the audience suggests to go find. Sometimes the liquor store that we have around the corner doesn't have them when someone suggests that we taste it. So he'll order them for us
Gotcha.
and he'll bring them in. Yeah, and we'll buy them. But we buy all the seltzers. There's no one's giving us all those seltzers to then review, because the truth is they know the roll of the dice. I might not like them. And if I don't like them, I'm going to tell you I don't like them. So there are other things that spring off of the seltzers.
Yeah.
And there are some companies that want to have some eyeballs, on their stuff. So it's not always the same exact brand. It could be, I'm just gonna say like Truly. Truly has their seltzers, but Truly also does a lot of their vodkas. They do a lot
Yeah.
of other ready to go kind of right things. So they have more than just one SKU. And there are times that they'll reach out and they want us to do something like make a cocktail with something. Truly has not asked us to do that, so that's not why I bring them up. I bring them up because they have some seltzers. They have a wide variety of seltzers. Most people know them. They know White Claws. They know High Noons.
Yeah.
Those are the most popular ones. But when we do, to answer your question, back to just the point, we go buy them, taste them, and then whatever it is, that's how it goes.
I want to get back. I watched an interview. I think it might have just been one where you and your son were talking, and you were talking about you being in college and playing baseball, meeting your
Oh,
lady, and then him
yeah,
being
yeah, my
little.
wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been married, by the way?
Oh boy, 1990. So what's that? 34 years.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
was 5 in 1990. Oh my
There
gosh.
you go. Yeah, there you go. That's
Man, that's
it.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you find the right person, just hold on to the steering wheel. Don't mess it up.
Now, back to that interview. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. You were talking, like I said, to your son, and I don't know if you all had a guest or it was just you and your son, but
Oh, I
you
think
could
you're
have.
talking about one of our podcasts, right? Was it one of our
Yeah, yeah,
podcasts? Yeah,
yeah. Now,
yeah. That's what it was. We had a podcast and we're just talking about family and how we. Yeah, but I think it was me, my son, and my daughter. Yeah.
yeah. How did
So that was.
I was going to ask, how did you know that you met the right one?
I that's a great question, Corey. I think instincts take over, right? At some point, when you find yourself in that situation, the instincts of, um, listen, there's a connection always in anyone you meet, male or female, whether it's going to be your life partner or a business partner. There has to be some sort of something that is a feeling that says, okay, I want to learn more about this person, or I want to, at least give them the benefit of the doubt and hear them out. So that's no different. I think when you open yourself up and your expectations are reasonable, sometimes you get lucky. And in my case, I think I got lucky because it was the first, girl that I actually met in college. And through that relationship, she wasn't the only girl I met in college, but it ended up being the first one that then was the last one. So
Yeah,
again, luck.
that's all. That's awesome, though,
Yeah,
man. I've been with the
yeah.
same woman to be 11 years this summer, be married 8 years in August.
Oh, congrats. You have kids?
2 kids. One's getting ready to be
Nice.
18, and youngest is
Oh wow.
6. Yep, getting ready to have one graduate
Uh,
high school, and my youngest is in kindergarten.
wow. Oh, you're running this run the scope there.
Hey, hey, I know what to blame it on, but I don't know if I can say what I blame it on.
Yeah, your curiosity.
Yeah,
You're
curiosity.
curious.
I'm the George that curiosity killed. Yeah,
That's it. Oh, that's
man.
cool.
What's it like? Because I know you all encounter a lot of people contacting you guys, wanting to do this or do that. Like, two-part question: how do you guys decipher who to say yay or nay to? And how do you handle going out in public? Because I know, especially where you guys are from, where you live in Jersey, it's got to get
Yeah.
kind of crazy for you sometimes.
It's not that good. Listen, it's people are respectful for the most part. Where I find most of the, I think, disappointment comes in comments where people say some of the craziest things. Like, I don't know, they could say, I suck. Okay, well then why are you watching? Just go on, just scroll by. Like I for the
Yeah.
life of me, I can't understand that. But that's it's not like we are these super mega stars. We're people. I'm a father. I have family and friends, and like everyone else, we just happen to have this space now that's relatable, and people want to, I think, in the most sincere way, either say thank you because they learned something, which I'm very proud of when people compliment me personally on. They watch my video how to make a tie. They watch my video how to pack a bag. They watch my video how to shine shoes, whatever it may be. They watch the video on seltzer reviews. You know, people say they stop me and they'll say, "Hey, thanks because I went into the liquor store and I pulled up your videos and I knew what ones not to buy." I'm like, "All right, cool. If I saved you $20, you
Yeah.
know, and buying some crappy seltzers, I think that's a win for everybody." You know, so we got to keep it in perspective and understand. You know, we're not mega superstars. We're just we go out like anything else, and there are people that are really generous and sincere and come up and say some nice things, and that's rewarding if nothing else. You
Are
know,
you
and how we the other part of your question is how do you make the decision about who to say yes to? I try to say yes to everybody. I said yes to you. You DM me. I said yes. If it time permits and I have time and you have time, well, that's all we're talking about here is time. We're just making time. And I think that there's probably a little bit more of that that other people, as big as they get, should truly understand. You know that they should make the time
yeah.
and give of what you can. You know when you can.
I'm glad you said the word time a few 3 or 4 times just now. I just got done interviewing a guy that's going to the NFL draft and 2 MMA fighters, and we talked about time. And the
Yeah.
one thing that I told the kid before he left, I said, "Hey, the only advice because he asked me for some advice once we got done filming. So the only advice I could tell you, young man, is don't ever let nobody tell you they ain't got time because they're lying and they're
Right.
full of shit." I said, people make time for what they want to make time for in life.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's true. And again, it's a valuable commodity. It's the one thing that we don't get enough of. And it is the one thing that if you don't treat it properly, you will regret how you used it.
No, and
Right.
that's why some say I may be over gracious. I don't care. I look at it as being respectful because you know, you're known. You said yes for a reason, so I'm gonna that's why I said what I
Yeah.
said. We're gonna get it
Good.
done now because
Yeah.
look how long we've been interacting with each other. It's either now
Yeah.
or Lord knows when. I
Sure.
interviewed Patrick Mahomes' agent last year. I've
Oh,
interviewed former wrestlers. I've interviewed a lot of cool people. So it lets
cool.
me know that I'm doing something right. And it's my
Yeah.
job to continue to find that
Yeah.
out. I want to ask you what it was like meeting Dana White. That had to be pretty awesome feeling.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. As you said, making time and there's a guy who made time for us. Like who are we to him? Right? Nobody's. Other than at the moment we got introduced to him, it was because I did a review of his Hollerhead bourbon. I didn't know
Gotcha.
Dana White. So I did an authentic view. I said it was good. Well, next thing I know, Dana White himself DM'd us. And then next thing I know, Dana White himself took us out to Vegas to do a whole nother thing with him and make cocktails. And so it's the next thing. You don't know where it's going to come from. So to his credit, he liked something he saw and he actually took action. And again, I couldn't tell you in the scope of people that I've met, there's not a more authentic guy that you will ever meet, right? There's not a person that you know real quick where you stand when you meet him. He's either going to be all in with you or he'll just be thanks, no thanks, and be on his way. So it's kind of cool that I can text him and he'll text me back, or I can call him and you know I know they're coming to New Jersey. I think in a couple of months. One of the UFC, I lose track of the numbers, like 305, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know which one it is, but it's coming up, and hopefully we can catch him at the right time so we can get together because I know we're going to go to the fight. They already gave us tickets or offered us
Awesome.
tickets. Yeah, they already offered us tickets to it, but getting him away from his entourage and that environment's never easy. But we'll see what happens.
Did you ever think after you realized your first video you did with your son went viral, that it would grow and blossom into what it has for you guys?
No, no. This was quite honestly, it was like a joke. I said, I don't believe that this is a business, John.
Yeah.
He's like, no, we're gonna do it. Here's what's gonna be. Here's how it's gonna go. You're gonna see. You're gonna see. I'm like, all right. I made a deal with them at the beginning, very early on. People would send us swag, t-shirts, hat, spices, meats. I mean, people would send us all sorts of stuff in the mail, bottles of liquor, to say the least. And I said to them, I said, I'll tell you what, you can take whatever money however you monetize this, right? Because again, then early on, we don't know brand sponsorships. We don't know even how much you're worth. So if someone says, "Hey, wear this T-shirt. We want you to wear it every time you do a video," and what's your rate? What would you charge? Well, how do you know that? I don't know that. It's a new venture, right?
Yeah.
So the money is really the byproduct of the fun and the success, and you learn to then figure out, well, okay, if we're going to be doing this, then let's set the threshold somewhere, and that was his job. So that's what he
Yeah.
did. I just said, well, let me have. I'll take the shirts. I'll take the. I'll
For
take the
sure.
swag. I'll take the bottle of liquor that comes. I'll build my bar. Little did I think I was going to have to take apart my laundry room closet. Literally, I took my washer machine out to make room for all the liquor that I was going to get. So I have a stockpile of stuff that I love to use when we can on a video, to just show our appreciation. We don't get paid by a lot of the liquor and a lot of the brands that share stuff with us, right? They're just sharing it and we're using it.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. I think often people believe that we just want to get paid, or we're just doing things to have a payday. You know, there's some cases where you need to, right? You need to support the costs of doing business. We have a podcast. You have a podcast. Well, our podcast is pretty expensive, right? You have your film, camera, sound,
Yep.
editor, right? Manager that repurposes, chops it up, context, puts it on all. I mean, there's probably about 5 or 6 people now behind the scenes doing all this. And that's just on our podcast. On our YouTube, there's another 3 people: camera, audio, editor, right? Doing these roles, two or three on the YouTube. So yeah, it's something everyone's got to get paid. So how do you how do you compensate them? Hopefully, you get a brand that sponsors you and says, "Hey, we'll give you X amount.
Yeah.
Put the shirt on here, Y amount. Use this liquor." Sure, I got to use a liquor anyway. Why don't I use one that I like,
Yeah.
right? So
Makes
so
sense.
that's part of the machine. That's part of the wheel, and it's no different for anyone that's now at a level that keeps producing content over and over again.
When did the Johnny Drinks bourbon come about?
Great question. That was very early on. That was 2020. Um, what, David Finney is a master winemaker. David Finney was actually sold it to Gallo Wine, and then now it got sold through, I forget who ultimately owns it now, but Prisoner Wine was one of the most famous California blend wines that David Finney created. Orange Swift line of wines. Okay, Orange Swift is the master, I guess. I don't know if he's not a distiller, because David that was his namesake. He put this Orange Swift line of wines to his collection, and they ultimately sold that. Well, David had started, when he sold that, a bourbon, and we used his bourbon one
Okay.
time. Well, we used it because, again, this is at the beginning. People weren't sending us all sorts of stuff. I had to start with what I had. I was using bullet bourbon. I had bullet in my
Okay.
liquor locker, and yeah, I did that, and then I had David Finney's Burning Chair bourbon, so I was using that. Well,
Okay.
David Finney's son saw me using it, contacted Johnny, DM'd him, and next thing I know, we got 2 cases or 3 cases of Burning Chair bourbon coming to our house. so so that was then the impetus behind, let's do something together.
Yeah.
and then we did a blend with them, and again, just feeling our way through these things. It's everything that we've done truly has been just organic.
How many states is Johnny Drinks Bourbon in?
Well, right now, so that was the first collaborate. These are collaborations. So
Okay.
um, when I say collaboration, it becomes then an exchange of, it's a white label thing. If you and I wanted to do a bourbon, we could call it what we want, but it's not ours. We're not making it. I'm
Mm,
not selling it,
gotcha.
right? I'm not selling it. I don't have a retail store, a wholesale. I'm not a distiller. So all we're doing is, um, and back to this example, if you and I want to do, well, if you and I want to do it, we got to make it a business. We got to get a license.
Yo.
We got to be a wholesaler, a retailer, or a distributor, or all three. And we don't have to put our hands and mash it and distill it. We could go source it from MGP, right? We can go to a few companies, and then you and I can bottle it after the right licensing and go sell it. Well, we're not doing that. So that's not our sweet spot. Our sweet spot is we'll do a collaboration. So the most recent one that we did is a local distillery saying, we'll get the juice, we'll provide everything, we have the license, we have the labels, we'll do all that. And then for that, we're just going to collaborate, and they're going to compensate us like anyone else would with an established brand. And in this case, there's more to it because we actually created it. We tasted it. We
Gotcha.
we I said I like this one over that one, so let's go with this one. So it's mine, right? It becomes my taste palette.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's really no more complicated than that. And so that right now there is no more Johnny Drinks bourbon that we're producing. We're thinking about doing another limited LTO, limited time offer on a bourbon or a whiskey or like a 9 year or a higher aged bourbon. I'm not sure yet. Um, but we're looking at that. There are some bourbon, the Johnny Drinks bourbon that's still available. If you go on our website, you can
Website.
get a
Okay.
bottle. You can get it through the website through Spirits Network because again, they bought the bourbon, not us.
Got
That's their sale. I'm not getting a per bottle anything from what they sell. They bought it from the distillery. They sell it. That's their profit margin. What we do is we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to do what I just did with you. If someone said, "Where do I get the bourbon?" Go to spiritsnetwork.com, spirits network / johnnydrinks.com. You can get that bourbon there. You can go to our website, and it's in the link, it's in the page and the links, and you can go click on it, go buy it, but it goes right to Spirits Network. So, there's a lot of different ways of facilitating it, and that's the cleanest. Those are the cleanest lines when you stay doing what you do best.
All right. I got a few more questions. I know you're busy, so I don't want to keep you too long.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received in your life?
The best piece of advice is that I've received is to continue to move forward. Just
Mm,
and that doesn't necessarily mean that you fail, that you fall, that you fumble. Just forward, just go forward. And sometimes you do fail forward and fall forward and fumble forward, but sometimes it's just you're not running like you think you should, and you're walking, but because you're walking, you think you're not getting anywhere. Just understand, no, you are because you're going forward. So,
yeah.
so that was one of the best pieces of advice is I was best piece of advice I got. The other, I'll say there's two of them, was my college baseball coach said to me, what you could do is limited. What you can accomplish through others is limitless. And I
Mm,
didn't know what he meant.
I
Yeah, and
never
I
heard
didn't
that.
know what he meant. Yeah. I never heard it till he said it either. And then, as I got older, I didn't know what he meant. I mean, I'm 22 years old. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't know what you mean, but whatever. So then it clicked. I was like, oh, I get it now. So I became, a manager who grew and led with other people. And I soon found the meaning of that when I realized I couldn't do it all. And you can't do it all, and you shouldn't do it all. You should take what you do well as a skill and another subset skill and give one of those subset skills to someone else to make them better, that in return enhances what you do. And everyone wins at that point, because you're building and pulling people along.
What's the hardest thing you've ever had to overcome in your life?
I think one of the challenges of is understanding patience, true patience. And
Yep.
when you're younger, you fly off the handle a lot quicker. And as you get older, you realize the sun comes up the next day and it's a fresh start. And so with that, I apply my own rule. I don't, I'm sure someone maybe told me this at some point. I don't remember specifically who, but I feel like it was just my own rule, and it's 24-hour cool. So if I have a bad moment and I don't think things are going my way and I need to make a decision, whether it's a decision, and I just gave you an example, let's say a bad moment. It could be a great moment. It could be a
Yeah.
moment where it could be a great moment where I'm going to go buy a car. I'm super excited about buying a car and I see the car I want. I give myself the 24-hour cool. You have to think, you got to sleep on it. You got to think it through. You got to, at least I do, weigh the pros and the cons, and don't let the emotions of being that high, buying a car and excited, then come crashing down the next day when all of a sudden you say, oh boy, I don't know if I can afford that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
for sure.
the low point of, oh my gosh, I just said something, did something, feel like a jerk. I should never, you know, whatever, put myself in that compromised position. And instead of, arguing your way out, you just be cool. And the next day, 24 hours, think about it, and then you'll handle it differently. You say you're sorry. You can replay it and treat the situation differently than when you were just in the heat of the moment. Right.
All right. Final question.
All right.
What's your favorite bourbon?
Wow, my favorite bourbon is my bourbon. I mean, there are so many really good ones. I'm going to tell you right now. Before I was Johnny Drinks, I was, and still am, John Rondy, right? So I would go buy Whistle Pig. I would, on the high end, I go buy Bullet for 20 something bucks, and I'd make cocktails with it. Enjoy the hell of it. I'd go buy Whistle Pig at 120 bucks, whatever it was, whichever one I wanted. Angel's Envy, Willet. I would look for all the kind of the Blantons, the special bourbons here and there that I could, just to try. Um, and money was always something that I would be mindful of, but I wasn't afraid of trying different bourbons. And I never, like, then found one that I said,
Yeah.
oh, this is the one, right? This is the one. This is what I'm sticking with the rest of my life. So it wasn't until I became now a little bit more acquainted with the spirits and people are sending me bottles that my palate really started to develop. I have, I'm telling you, I could tell you within a certain little small window an ABV of a bourbon or a whiskey
Mm-hmm.
by the way it hits my tongue and the back or the front or the it just I'm real close. I'm not always going to tell you what the mash bill is, but I'm pretty good at identifying the better ones over the younger ones, right?
Yeah.
So when I say I like my own bourbon, I do like my own bourbon. I love it's a 75% corn. It's on the sweeter side, right? I mentioned to you that the first one we had, which was the David Finney one, and Burning Chair, and that blend we did with them, that was finished in wine barrel cast. That was still just a very different flavor, had some different notes to it. Both very good, but if I put the two of them side by side, most people would say the Johnny Drinks bourbon we have now is more of a traditional bourbon, and
Okay.
it's easy to drink. It's 4 years seasoned, it's 4 years age. You can get behind it a lot easier. And the other one, it's just different. It's contrastingly different. It's younger, but it's finished again in wine barrel cast. So yeah, there's just been a lot of fun stuff I've had. Gosh, like I said, there's been so many bourbons that you would have never heard of, that I just keep getting introduced to, and I enjoy every one of them. I'll put any one of them in a glass, make a cocktail with it, or
Oh
just
yeah.
sip it and enjoy it. I don't think I've ever poured out a bourbon.
Neither
They're
have
good.
I think I got
Well,
like 100. I got 120 to 150 bottles at my house for my personal collection, and
all right.
I'm the same way. I might have some bottles that I'll have one or two drinks out of. I might not be a fan of it, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I'm gonna finish the drink and then I'll put it to the
yeah,
side in the stash for company. Drink all that. Drink as much of that
yeah.
as you want.
That's well, that's important too, because you and I have a real funny story. So I had Pappy, I still have a bottle of Pappy 23, and there's a influencer. His name is Jack Cuso, Chef Cuso, and he was at my house. Great guy,
Who's
great Cuso, Chef Cuso. So
okay?
he, I pulled out my Pappy 23. I poured it in a Glencairn glass. I put one down. I give him one. I turn to go get another glass. And before I can come back to him to pour myself one, he already he did it like a shot. And I said to him, I said, "What are you doing? This is a 23-year-old Pappy. You got to sip this." He goes, "Oh, I didn't know." That's the point, right? So shame, not his fault. How would he
Yeah,
know? I could have put Bullet in the same Glencairn, would have made no difference to him. He would have drank it the same way.
for sure.
So you and I now know the difference. So we're going to treat them differently. I am not going to make a cocktail with a higher end, mature spirit. I'm not going to do that. Uh, Ideally, I'm not going to do that, right? To the time it took to
Yeah,
sit for 4, 7, 9, 10, 15 years. I want to appreciate it. I want to drink it the way it's meant to be. I think right out of the bottle, and in my case, neat, and that's it. So other people, they're not there, and that doesn't take away from their experience. That their experience is going to be theirs, but we'll give them
yeah.
the lower end, and sure, try it. If you don't like it, we'll mix it up, put some simple syrup in there for you, and
Yep.
make you an old fashioned. We'll make you a nice old fashioned, right?
All right.
What's your favorite bourbon? Well, hold on.
Matter of fact,
What's your
matter of
go-to?
fact, hold on right there. I'm glad
Yeah, let me see.
you asked.
Yeah.
Where's my other one at?
Oh, that's good stuff. Now
Statesman.
that's a Statesman. Now come closer. What's the hold on before you is that ABV on there? Is that 114? What is the ABV on there? What's the it's in the lower left, should be in the lower left hand corner, no?
47.5% alcohol
40
volume,
eight
95 proof.
90. Oh, so it's 95. So it's not the over 100. Okay. Because
No.
there's a vintage year that they do that's like over, it's like 114. That's good stuff. And then Blanton's is good right there too. Yeah.
I'll tell you
That's solid.
my main go to is E.H. Taylor small batch.
I mean, yeah, throw a dart, blindly, and you'll hit any one of those. They'll all work. They're beautiful, and again, you drink them neat. Or how do you?
So some I drink neat, but like I mix mine with water and
Okay, yeah,
maybe like a
cute.
little a smidge of sugar free lemonade, ice cubes. That's it.
Okay,
I don't drink soda.
okay,
I think I've had probably 6 or 7 sodas in 3 years. I stay away from sodas, so I figure what better way to feel good and have a
yeah,
good time and hydrate myself in the process.
yeah, yeah. That's good stuff, Corey. Oh, that's good. Well, you got some good bourbon there. That's good. Yeah. Do you have all the Blanton horses? Did you collect it?
I'm missing like 1 or 2 letters, but I tell you what,
What letters are you missing?
I
What do you
think
know?
a
What you're missing?
I think a T
Just
and an
what do you want? T and A?
A
What'd you
T and
say?
an S. I think I'm missing T and
Oh,
S.
do me a favor. When we hang up, message me what you're missing. I have several extra, and I'd be
Okay.
happy to. I know you want the bottle. I don't have the bottles. I have I have the tops I've saved it, and if I have them, I'll send them out to you.
I appreciate that, man. Well,
All right.
one final thing. First off, I want to thank you for making time for me. I'm glad this was
You
finally
got it.
able to happen. Hopefully, you enjoyed
Yep.
yourself. Um,
Yeah. Good stuff.
Secondly, how did you think I do? I always ask all my guests how I do.
Yeah, I think you did great. Listen, you're obviously, well, whoever's going to listen to this and finds it their way through to the very end doesn't know this, but I just called you 40 minutes ago and you just jumped right on and did the Zoom and here we are. So it's a Saturday and it's whatever time it is, it's 4:30 or 5 o'clock my time. And you just jumped right to it. That tells me you're you're prepared. Even though I surprised you, you were still prepared and you got your bearings on it
Yeah,
and good timing for both of us. So it worked
yeah.
out.
I
Did great.
appreciate that. Final words for listeners out there.
Yeah. I think if you're a young listener, be open minded and understand that. And when I say open minded, I mean open minded to possibilities. You're young, you should take chances, you should be calculated in some of the things you do, but you got to be realistic. And the social media page that is depicted is, for the most part, a bit misleading, right? And maybe some would say completely misleading.
Yeah,
Nothing comes easy, nothing happens overnight. To aspire and want to be some of the people that you see on the camera isn't always what it seems to be. And that comes with time and it comes with age. And the older person that's listening would probably agree and probably say in some form or another, thanks. And I hold in the highest regard the senior person. And I say senior, I don't mean 80, 90s. I mean, in our demographic, right?
yeah,
Our age demographic, we run from like 18 to 35. That's a real sweet spot. But I have 40, 50, 60-year-old men and women that stop me outside and they're like, listen, thank you. You're helping my relationship with my son specifically, or you help me with my relationship with my family. And you've taught my family, my son, my daughter, things that I've said all my life, but they're not hearing me. And so
yeah.
I know what that is. And that makes me especially proud. So the last few, again, points I would make to anyone who is listening, whether it's younger or older, thanks for watching us. Thanks for keeping it in perspective and knowing that we make mistakes. Everything I say isn't spot on, 100% accurate 100% of the times, but it comes with a lot of sincere commitment. And we do our very best, at least, to get it right and to drop a nugget here and there while keeping it entertaining at dad's expense most of the time, you know. But he likes to put me in compromised positions sometimes where,
I've
you
noticed.
know, yeah, whatever it is. I mean, waking me up or throwing something in front of me and I'm not prepared. Those are real things. Like you want me to talk about something and like, well, I don't know the first thing about what we're doing. And so that's fine. That's real life, right? So anyway,
I always end them with this: if you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. There's always a
yeah,
way.
yep, yep. Good
Johnny,
point. All
thank you,
right,
sir.
buddy.